Hello and welcome to our Homes for All AmeriCorps member recruitment video for the 2022-2023 AmeriCorps program year. This video will help guide your efforts to successfully recruit and select a candidate to serve as your AmeriCorps member. We'll talk a little bit about the work of our program staff and what we do to help support you throughout the next few months. Site supervisors are going to benefit the most from watching this video, but if you have other staff members involved in recruiting, they might find this video helpful as well. In this video, we are going to talk about the full recruitment process. So this means from the moment we start advertising to when the member begins their service. It's going to include how to advertise and recruit, what to look for when you're reviewing applications, what to ask about and what to say when you're interviewing candidates, what it looks like when your candidate interviews with our staff, what we do, how to decide on a member, and the steps involved in clearing a member to begin their service, and we'll end with important dates for the rest of the summer. We'll review quickly what AmeriCorps is and what Homes for All is, so we're all on the same page before we move forward. Homes for All is the name of the AmeriCorps program that is through the Homeless and Housing Coalition of Kentucky. We have two types of national service positions, the first being direct service, which is the member that you are trying to recruit, and then we have a capacity building position, and that's called an AmeriCorps Vista member. We are funded through the federal agency known as AmeriCorps, and the goal of our program is to increase access to and provide housing-related services. Your organization is considered one of our service sites, and you're responsible for hosting the AmeriCorps member that will provide those direct services to individuals and families. The majority of AmeriCorps members that serve in our program are full-time 1,700-hour members fulfilling a one-year commitment to their service. Our program year begins on August 1st, and it gives members until July 31st of the next year to finish their hours. As we talked about in the site application, members are expected to complete their hour requirement. It helps ensure their eligibility for their education award. It ensures they're allowed to complete future service terms. It helps your organization, you retain your member, you get the full experience, your clients receive a full year of services, and it helps us fulfill our grant requirements. Full-time members serve about 37.5 hours a week. We come up with that number after we factor in time off, like holidays, vacation, and sick leave, and weekends as well. 900-hour members, they serve in a reasonably full-time capacity, so that might mean 2 7.5-hour days a week. In exchange for their service, members receive a modest living allowance. This is paid on a bi-weekly basis. We want to give you a quick overview on terms that you'll hear throughout this video and throughout the service year. This is language that you should be using when referring to AmeriCorps. It's service-oriented language. First is the AmeriCorps member. This is the person that is placed at your organization to provide those direct services. They're not considered an employee or a staff person or a volunteer. We do want to make sure that we're spelling AmeriCorps correctly and saying it correctly. AmeriCorps is spelled with a capital C and it has an S on the end. It's also pronounced AmeriCorps, like Marine Corps, or core of the earth. A service site is your agency. Your member is placed at your organization to provide those direct services. Members will also serve some of their hours with us through training, service projects, and other events during their year. The member position description is the guiding document and tells members what they are there to do, what they're on site for. We reviewed your proposed position description. It was approved from our organization, and that's what your focus should be when talking with your members about what they're there to do. It is focused on direct service, activities related to housing and homelessness. Your member is not there to just provide general help. They can't receive hours for activities that aren't included on the position description. If, as you get into the year, you find that you need to make some changes, we can talk about that, but ultimately, to start advertising for your AmeriCorps member, you'll want to follow the recruitment plan that you described in your site application. You can provide materials to any potential applicants, like the recruitment brochure that we give to sites. You can create materials that you think would be helpful. To start advertising for your AmeriCorps member, you'll want to follow the recruitment plan that you described in your site application. You can provide materials to any potential applicants, like the recruitment brochure that we give to sites. You can create materials that you think would be helpful. And the AmeriCorps position description can provide a really clear picture to potential applicants about what the position would entail. You can use channels like the one listed on this slide, website, social media, using word of mouth, connecting with board members and volunteers to see if they are aware of anyone. That can be a good resource for you. Our program will create recruitment listings on My AmeriCorps, Service Here, Handshake, Kentucky Nonprofit Network, our website, and social media. Our listings are pretty generic, so if you have access to some of those same networks, like Kentucky Nonprofit Network, we would recommend that you still create a listing for that channel as well. In your site application, you did let us know if you wanted specific listings on one of those channels. So if you did request that, we will make sure to get your specific position listed on those sites. This is a very basic list of things that we need to see in all of your advertisements or listings. Please make sure to include these details. You want to refer to the position as service rather than a job. Don't call it employment. Don't say that you're hiring because that's not what this is. And if you have applicants that are really looking for a job, especially in this job market, they're not going to be as likely to complete the program as applicants who understand that this is national service and are motivated by that desire to serve. You do want to list the start date. So again, August 1st, explain that the term ends 1 year later, that it is a 1-year position. You can include the benefits of service. At the very least, I would include the amount of the 11 allowance and the education award amount. You can also provide information on how to apply directly to you, or if you want them to apply to us on My AmeriCorps first, the basic responsibilities of the position, things like that. Background checks are required of members, so we can be upfront about that, and it's also good to be upfront with applicants about any travel requirements if they're expected to be away from home for any, event or training for your site specifically. They will have some of those requirements with us, but we'll explain that to them when we interview. These are a few recommendations to include in your advertising. So if you have any selling points that are specific to your organization, certain professional development or training opportunities they might get if they serve with you, Make sure your mission is compelling, explaining the difference that they'll make, why they'll make a difference, how they'll make a difference, if there's potential for them to gain employment after their service opportunity. That might be something people would be drawn to. Candidates that you plan to meet with, you can provide them the My AmeriCorps application instructions and the AmeriCorps recruitment brochure, and a couple resources for you as you design your advertising materials. You can use a website called Canva. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with this. It is a free resource in a lot of ways. It can help you design social media templates or flyers. They're very catchy and appealing to the eye. We use it for a lot of our social media. It's pretty awesome. And then to use the AmeriCorps logo or AmeriCorps stock photos, that can really make your listings appealing as well. So you can find links to both of those things on our website. We have several resources available for you on our website. It includes the member recruitment guidance, that packet that we send out. It has the member recruitment brochure, the AmeriCorps logo to use, and a link to AmeriCorps stock photos that you can use in your recruiting materials. We believe it's really important for sites to take an active role in recruiting and finding a member. As applications come in, you want to review the experiences and skills that the applicant mentions, figure out what's really needed for the position, and see if they have any skills or experience that match. Just because they don't have 10 years of case management doesn't mean that they couldn't be a good AmeriCorps member or a good fit for your organization. Do they meet the minimum requirements? We want to try and avoid discriminatory biases, so maybe we always refer to something as the candidate has to be able to lift 25 pounds or sit and stand. That's not necessarily required. I think maybe what we're looking for is someone needs to transport 25 pounds of materials, and however they are able to do that, that works. Or if they need to be in a stationary position, maybe that's the language we can use instead of saying sit or stand. Consider the applicant's expectations as well. Again, if they're looking for a job, this is not that. You do not want to bring someone on that is looking for full-time employment. Again, you do want to make sure that your application or your expectations aren't unreasonably high. So you do want someone that's committed and willing, but you might not have that person with 15 years of construction experience. But if they're willing to learn and they're eager and excited, and they have, again, those minimum requirements, we may want to give them a shot. Understanding that national service is a growth and development opportunity will help you get in the right mindset to successfully recruit applicants or review applicants. During interviews, organizations should pay special attention to the type of language that they use when meeting with candidates. They want to use that national service language, so referring to the position as housing services or construction AmeriCorps member, talking about the living allowance, service activities. We want to use this language so the candidate can distinguish between AmeriCorps and employment. You want to ask a variety of questions, so situational, competency-based, behavioral, but you will definitely need to include questions from the member recommendation form, which is in the Member Recruitment Packet, and it's also on our resources page on our website. These questions help assess whether an applicant meets the basic requirements of AmeriCorps and will be a good fit for the program as well, not just your site. We need someone who's going to be a good fit for both. And you're going to want to record these responses or the responses to these questions so that you can send them to our staff so that we can review them before we interview the candidates as well. We strongly encourage you to include the approved AmeriCorps position description in your interview if you haven't given it to the person already. The document guides their whole service here, and it'll help bring even more clarity to them about the position and what it involves. It also helps to start the conversation about our program's expectations and requirements, so we give you those materials to include in your interviews. And please know that we also do talk about that with candidates. We interview them, we go over so much information with the candidates, so they get that information from us as well. But when we have support from your site in understanding that these are requirements and expectations, the candidate is more likely to understand that they will need to fulfill these as well. You can talk about the schedule expectations. So the member does need to serve, if they're full-time, they need to serve 37.5 hours a week. This factors in holidays, weekends, and time off, but that is what the schedule needs to be. You can talk about travel needs. So if you'll be sending them to a training or if they'll need to transport clients or travel to work sites, whatever that may include. And then you can let them know about background checks. We run background checks, and the position is contingent upon them passing those checks. After you wrap up your interview, go ahead and explain the next steps to candidates. So if you think you'll recommend them for placement, you can let them know at that point, or you can let them know, later that day or a couple of days later. But do tell them at some point that you plan to recommend them to us. We'll also interview them. The interview is more of an opportunity for us to share information about the program and the position, but we do ask some questions of the candidate. And if we see or hear any red flags that we believe would prevent the member from being successful, we will definitely let you know. But it is just time for us to make sure they get a really clear idea of what they're signing up for. We'll also help them apply on myamericorps.gov if they haven't done so already. This website, myamericorps.gov, is so essential to their entire service here. So we'll help them get started with that if they don't have an account already. And if you can explain to them, and it is a multi-step process, that there are a lot of pieces involved in this puzzle of starting service, it's helpful for them to just know that up front before we move forward. And again, I know I've already said this several times, but I recommend providing a copy of your AmeriCorps member position description, the member brochure, and instructions for the website, for the MyAmeriCorps website, if you haven't done that. When you're ready to recommend a candidate, you'll need to send a completed member recommendation form. This form includes their name and contact information. It also includes the responses to questions you will have needed to have asked of your candidate before sending them to us. If possible, we do recommend nominating multiple candidates, but only candidates that you will want to host at your site. Candidates may drop out for whatever reason, and it could leave you in a bind. Your organization may have also recruited a candidate that maybe isn't the best fit for you, but could be a good fit at another organization. So if you send them send us their contact information, we can help connect them to other opportunities. And as soon as you have candidates, you'll need to send this information to us as soon as possible. So we do try and push the deadline for you to find a member as close to August 1st as possible. But we want to find someone earlier than that so we can have the time to help them get background checks done, paperwork, and enrolled in AmeriCorps without the process feeling so rushed and frantic. We do accept candidates and recommendations after mid-July, but we do ask that you understand that it may affect their start date, which does shorten the length of time that they have to serve their hours. So ideally, we're able to find everyone and get them started serving hours on August 1st. We are interviewing everyone over the phone at this time or over Zoom. An interview, again, gives us a chance to get to know candidates, assess their ability to serve, and paint the larger picture of national service. We do reserve the right to decline a recommended candidate if we have any concerns. That rarely happens, but if that does, we will do our best to help you find someone else before the year starts. If we send the applicant to you, it does mean that they were pre-screened and approved on our end. And so if you interviewed them and felt like they'd be a good fit, we'll just go ahead and move straight to paperwork and background checks after you recommend them to us. After interviewing, we move on to reference checks. So we review references that are completed as part of the AmeriCorps application. If the completed reference authorizes us to release those references, we will do that and send them to your organization upon request. But you are also welcome to request information directly from the applicant and contact references yourselves if you would prefer to do it that way. If your organization only recommends one candidate and you don't have any hesitation, we'll assume that you want that person to fill the slot, so we'll go ahead and do paperwork and background checks with them to get things moving along. But if you do only send us one person and you're not sure if they're a good fit, let us know before we speak with them so we can sort of increase the number of questions that we ask and get a better feel for the candidate and provide feedback to you to help you make a decision. If your organization is able to recommend multiple candidates, we will offer you our feedback, but we'll leave the decision with you to select your final candidate, unless, again, we have those serious reservations. Regardless, you'll notify the candidate if you want to move forward with them, so we can start paperwork and background checks with them at that point. Background checks are operating pretty quickly. There were some delays in the past couple of years due to COVID, but hopefully those have all cleared up for this incoming year. But in the hopes of moving things along quickly, we offer paperwork to be completed online. So they use a system called Signwell, which is similar to DocuSign. Members fill out all their paperwork that way, and then we get it pretty much immediately. If members don't have access to a computer or a tablet or a phone that is compatible with those sites, we do ask for you to help us figure out how to get candidates' paperwork done. So if you are able to bring your member in to give them a computer to work on it, that'd be great. We can mail paperwork for members who don't have access to transportation maybe or something like that. All that is to say, we work with all candidates in whatever way that they need to get their paperwork in a timely manner. Starting a member in AmeriCorps has a lot of steps to it. After we initiate the background check, candidates have to go what's called pre-enrollment in AmeriCorps, and that can take up to 5 days to turn around after the member completes their portion of it. Members cannot start their service until they receive explicit clearance from our staff, and we'll help walk candidates through this entire process, but we do want you to understand what's required of us, where AmeriCorps is a federal grant, so you don't think things just aren't moving along as quick as they can. We are doing everything we possibly can to get your member cleared to start their service. We'll send written confirmation for you via email to submit a start date. We have to have a firm start date from all parties. That member has to show up and serve hours on those days because the hours that they log on their first timesheet has to match their start date and all the rest of their paperwork. We have 5 days to finalize enrollment for the AmeriCorps member, which is why we really have to nail down that date. These are important dates for you to keep in mind for the next few months. The first being July 15th. That's the deadline to recommend a member. I call it a deadline, but it's really just the most preferred date, final date for us to get candidates recommended to us. It gives us about 2 weeks to help the member apply, complete their background checks and paperwork. Again, we will take recommendations after that because we want to fill your slot. We want you to have that AmeriCorps member, but we just want to give that person as much time as we can to finish their hours. Site supervisor trainings are on July 12th or 19th. You only have to attend one. It will be virtual. And if you aren't able to attend, someone at your organization that will work closely with the member will need to attend in your place. The program year does start on Monday, August 1st. That will be the first day that members can start serving hours if they are cleared to do so. August 17th through the 19th is our member orientation and training. We also call it PSO, pre-service orientation. That is in person for the first time in a few years. We are very excited about that. Members will be with us at the Capitol Plaza Hotel in Frankfurt. All mileage is provided to members. We do ask them to carpool. We provide lodging and meals. There should be minimal, if any, expenses incurred by the member. And if there is, we provide reimbursement. Members do log hours for that training. And if you have a member that has children or a single parent or health concerns or anything like that, we will work with everybody to figure out how to make sure they are able to attend or get the content in a way that feels safe to them and in a way that allows them to still meet their other obligations and commitments as an individual. September 15th is the date that the site contribution is due. Your site will receive an invoice for this and the HHCK membership in August. That invoice is going to come whether you have filled your slot or not, but of course payment won't be required until you when you do fill the slot. So if you have filled it before September 15th, there will be payment expected. If you need to make payments, be on a payment plan, that is available. You'll just have to request that from our office. If your organization at any point decides you are no longer interested in AmeriCorps member through us, please let us know immediately so we can connect with another organization that is interested. We hope you found this video informative if you are a new site and a good refresher for our existing service sites. If you have any questions that you did not get the answer to in this video or you can't find the answer in the recruitment packet, reach out to me or Holly. Holly is our member coordinator and we're happy to help. We're really looking forward to a great program year and working with your organization. Thanks so much.